What are you gonna do? You're the doctor. What are you doing?
Are there like statistics on coma recovery?
Are there statistics on the coma recovery rates?
Yeah, like do we know like X% past this date don't wake up?
Probably, but the doctors are not speculating. They're not going to speculate on if the patient's going to recover or not.
Why not?
Why not? Because they don't know. They don't know. What do you got?
Isn't it like policy to consult with the family?
Yeah, 100%. Yes. Okay. But again, you're the physician here. You got a 74-year-old patient who's in a coma. No idea if he's going to come out. All right? There's 5 other patients in the hospital under 45 years old who need those organs to live. Freddie, what are you doing?
Well, the doctor can't decide that technically.
Technically, yes.
So he could do it immediately.
He could, and he could save 5 lives.
He could talk to the family,
He could talk to the family.
and once they know, they can decide.
Okay. What are you going to do?
I talk to the family. And once it's there, it's out of my
So you're just absolving yourself from the decision. Okay. What are you doing, Keelan?
I mean, kind of the same thing as Freddie. I'm going to consult the family, try and explain the situation, be like, hey, it's likely he's not going to wake up out of this coma. There's 5 other people on the donor's list waiting for needing his organs at this given moment. If you decide to pull the plug, you say there's 5 other people.
Okay, so you're going to present that to the family. If we pull the plug, then 5 other people get to live. Okay? Freddie? What'd you do? Change your mind?
No, it's just based on that. I wouldn't try to convince them in my speech. I would just tell them I don't want to be anywhere involved with their decision process.
You would tell them what?
Just let them know, like, hey, there's 5 other patients.
So you would tell them there's 5 other patients that can live.
I would try to like sugarcoat it or try to convince them in the scene.
Are you going to say it like this? There are 5 other patients who will survive if... Yeah. Okay. Who else? What are we doing? Who's thinking about pulling the plug? Kelsey?
No.
Liar. Chaplain. Kill them all.
My first reaction is to question also,
Question what?
question, what's going to happen? Is this COVID going to last a long time? I read all these different things. But in my opinion, quantity over quality is what I value. So it's like, yes, it's a 74-year-old, but still, like, their life is valuable. Even though there's 5 others on the other end, like, that should be that person's decision if they're willing to die for them, but no one else. So, I want to question, the coma and the recovery. But then if I couldn't, I would just obviously question the family. But no matter what, like
Okay, take all the questions out of it.
think you go somewhere else.
Take the family and the questions out of it. You can make a decision on your own, 100%, without repercussion. You're the only one who's going to know what's going to happen. Who hasn't gone yet? What do you got?
I'm not going to pull the plug.
You're not pulling the plug, okay? Butters?
I would do the same thing because it's not my right as a doctor and someone else's life.
Okay.
It's their right.
But it is your right to protect and save lives, right?
But you'd still be killing someone. That's still
Well, he's already brain dead. Screw him. He's 74. What do you got? Are you pulling the plug?
I pull it
You're pulling the plug. Why?
because to save 5 people's lives is better.
And does the age factor in all of these for you?
Yes.
So 74 years old, had a decent run, right?
Yeah, hopefully not.
Okay, and you got 5 other people that are under 45. What do you got, Connor?
I would pull the plug.
No?
My argument is that if I was like, the guy who is in the coma, I'd probably want to decide, whether or not I'm living or dying. He doesn't get a decision. He's in a coma, so, you kind of gets to inform, in my opinion. Also, modern medicine is letting people live longer and longer. So this guy might have more life left in him, and these other guys, they already need organs. They might have messed up things that might come down the line anyway.
What do you got? Okay.
I would pull the plug because he's 74 years old, brain dead, and all the others are 145, probably kids.
Yeah, but what if they're like crackheads or something?
Bingo. What if they are crackheads? What do you got? Your hand went up when he brought that up.
Well, I was just going to say I wouldn't pull the plug. Oh, wait, that's what I was going to say. Give me a second. Hold on.
Who thinks 74 is old?
I don't think it matters.
Who thinks 74 is old? Who does not? Who's is Switzerland in here and is afraid to commit to anything? Nice, good. My math guy over here. Okay, what do you got?
All right, so yes,
Yep.
right, numbers wise. But if I were to pull the plug just to save these people's lives, it would be the means of me saving these people's lives is what would bother me so much.
So if you save those lives, it wouldn't be worth it to you because of the one loss?
Because of the means of how I got to it. There has to be some other way to solve the problem. It's my life.
Okay, wait, Kellen?
What do they each do? Because if we have like 5 people who are just like,
I don't know. They're patients. You don't know
I mean, it's kind of a doctor's responsibility.
them. To know people?
The donors list is nationwide, so one hospital is going to know from New York and California.
Yeah, could be. Okay, but why though? Why does that matter? If do you want to know if they're good people or if they're crackheads?
If, let's say hypothetically that the 74-year-old was like a humanitarian who was like helping like end poverty throughout the city and whatnot.
Okay, he's already an organ donor, so we know he's willing to give up his organs. We know he's willing to give up his organs to save lives. What do you got?
There are other organ donors out there.
You know how long a friend of mine waited for a kidney? This is like 20 years.
Really?
Yeah.
They're not only
You got to have a fit. They don't know fit, blood types and all that stuff. What do you got?
I think mostly I want to pull the plug because I feel like the 74-year-old has lived long enough, and I want to help those other 5 people. But ethically speaking, I don't think you can actually, again, unless you're in a utilitarian mode, which I think if you're just
Oh my
in
God.
the military sense, everyone thinks utilitarian all the time, but I think in the real world, you have to have some sort of principle.
And what does utilitarian mean?
Basically, ends before means, basically, greater amount of ends.
We're gonna touch on this.
Greatest amount of ends.
Okay,
I just think.
Brandon.
Whatever is best for most people is the best decision.
Okay, so you're most people. The best for the most people.
I'm saying that's the definition of utilitarianism.
Oh yeah. Okay. Where are you at on this?
No, I'm not a big fan of this question because, like you said, that's not the doctor's responsibility. You consult with the family. No, it's not my decision.
Okay, Brandon, Marine, you're on the battlefield. An old lieutenant colonel is dying, and you can save 3 other younger Marines if you let him go. What are you doing? Huh? It's not very likely, but it can very much happen.
Well, in that case, I would know the decision that the lieutenant colonel would gladly sacrifice his life for 3 other Marines.
He might not.
No?
He might not. No, he probably would. It's happened. We'll get into it. There's a book you need to read by a former Marine about World War II. You would like it. Okay? Remind me of that. I'll point you in the right direction. What do you got? Last one, let's.
Well, it says in here that he's in a coma. I haven't been in med school, but I'm pretty sure a coma is from brain dead. Right now, some people are saying brain dead. I'm pretty sure brain dead.
Could be medically induced.
Unrecoverable. A coma doesn't mean the brain's like broken. If the brain's broken, they're not going to come back. But if they have a coma and there's a chance that they could come to, I don't think it's anyone's right to pull the plug and kill somebody who could recover. But regardless of age, I
It's
don't
really
think-
easy. You just walk over and you go, yoink.
Well, I don't think age should matter.
Age shouldn't matter.
Shouldn't.
But you said it did, right? He had 74 years.
I didn't agree with it.
Fair enough. But he does.
And also.
Okay? By the way, 74 is really not old anymore. It's really not. It is to you. I understand. I'm old to you. I understand. It hurts my feelings a little bit, but I understand completely.
It's also, what if you just have some other 75-year-old, 74-year-old that's walking around that has organs they could donate? Should we just kill them too to give all their organs?
Yeah, shoot him in the head. Forget it. He's had a good run, right? Okay? All right. This is today. This is right versus right. Okay? Yeah, that one's a little unique. Okay? Because, a doctor cannot physically decide to end the life. Right? They're not going to do that. They could. All right? And that is an ethical decision that they have to make to decide what they want to do. They might know those other 5 patients. 3 of them might be kids. Okay? What if it was one of you laying there? What if your best friend is laying there and some stranger's in a coma? Does that change anything for anybody? No? Okay, fair enough. It might for some of you. It might. All right?
That's the question.
Yes, sir.
Does it make me a bad person if it changed my answer?
No. I don't think so. It's someone you care about, right? We're talking about strangers. That's pretty easy to compartmentalize, right? Brendan immediately said, well, I would know them. So I would know what that colonel would want me to do and what he thinks of those other 3 Marines. That's going to factor into the decision. If you don't know them, you're probably indifferent. Right? Yeah. By the way, today's pretty serious. Okay? We're going to talk about some serious shit and some kind of uncomfortable topics. I obviously like to joke around with you guys and make light of certain things. For various reasons I do that. But today's pretty serious. Okay? We can still joke and have a good time, but there's going to be some stuff we talk about today that's going to piss you off. Any Catholics in here? Nice. I'm excited. Okay? You'll see. All right? And I learned this the hard way, actually, this first topic we're getting into. I learned it because, again, as I kind of like to get to know you guys, I kind of just jumped right into this subject without really giving that warning. And somebody in the room had been through a pretty tough experience, and it was hard for them to go through. Right? Cool? All right. You are a detective. You're a male detective. You're hanging out in a library. Okay? Hanging with me so far? Kellen, you can close that. Right? You're a detective, male detective in a library, and you hear the librarian, who's a female, take a phone call at the library desk. It's quiet in the library, right? So you can hear pretty well. You're a detective, you're sitting there minding your own business. And you start picking up on the conversation that the female librarian is having with somebody on the phone, okay? And he's clear, the person on the phone is clearly asking about rape. They're asking about the topic of rape, they're asking questions, they're asking about laws related to rape, okay? And you're figuring all that, because you can call a librarian and do that, absolutely. That is your right and your freedom to do that. And the librarian will then put together some information for you and provide it to you, and you can come pick it up, okay? So she gets off the phone, the detective comes over and says, I'm a detective. I overheard your conversation. It sounded like it was about rape. Can I ask if it was a male that called? And she says, yes, it was. And he says, well, there was a rape in the community last night. I would like to know who this person was that called. What does the librarian say? What do you got, Alexis?
I would say they probably don't know who it was. They just.
No, she took down his name and number because she's got to give him the info. Is she going to tell the detective who it was? Ready? Nope. No, she's not. She 100% has the right to protect that individual. It might be somebody doing a research project. Okay? So, if you're the librarian, are you telling the detective who it was? Who says yes? Okay, who says no? Some of you didn't vote again. Okay? If you said no, why not? Why?
There's no guarantee that that person's actually a detective. The librarian wouldn't know.
No, 100%. Show the badge.
Oh, okay.
100% a detective. Change your mind at all?
Yes.
Okay, so now you're going to tell the detective?
Yes.
Okay, that this is the guy's name and number that called me?
Yes.
Okay, so you just gave up a citizen's information and violated their rights. But you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Who else? Alexis?
The librarian should not give information because, again, it's a private citizen or.
They should not. What are you going to do? You're a female librarian, and there was a rape in the community last night of a woman. Are you going to tell the detective who it was? Yes or no? No. Okay, good. Keelan?
Unless provided with a warrant.
No, not without a warrant. Okay, good. All right. Who said? Who else said no? Why? Who said no? Let's.
Yeah.
Why not?
Not their business, at least not yet.
Yeah. It's not your business. Okay. You might. Has anybody seen there's movies and articles when innocent people are convicted? Because sometimes it's the only suspect they had. The military, not that this is the case, the military is absolutely guilty of usually trying to pin it to one person. There's a problem, unfortunately. It sucks, but it happens often. Okay? Yeah, innocent person. Who else said no? Butters, why?
It's a combination of Lindsay and his answer. If they have a warrant, then I would. If they don't have a warrant, it's not their business.
Okay.
Again, there's too many variables involved where that could be someone researching a brothel. It could be the rapist, but
It could be, right?
I think a detective would get more clues elsewhere than in the library over here on the phone.
You hope so, but what if they have no other leads? What if they have no idea? And the victim has no recollection of the person? What do you got? Austin, right?
No, Blake,
Blake, sorry. I saw a long name.
it still doesn't change the situation. It's like an innocent until proven guilty thing, and it violates the person involved, it violates their rights. So as much as the situation sucks, like, you still shouldn't do that.
Okay?
Mess up these people out, so.
Okay?
Can I respond to that?
Yes?
Well, there's no guarantee that anything's gonna come from it, like, in my mind,
If
there's
he's innocent, he's free and clear, right?
no harm in letting the detective, have somebody's information just so they can speak to them and ask them a couple questions. Like, he's not gonna immediately convict him just because he was looking something up in the library.
That raised some hands. Ramon, you haven't said anything yet. What do you got? Ramon, right?
Yes, if he's innocent, he's not being clear because innocent people get locked up all the time, so.
Correct.
I'm not comfortable giving like a random person, I'm not comfortable giving the cop to me, or.
Okay, Brandon?
I mean, my thoughts are whenever you get interrogated and stuff, typically, I mean, I know, if I were to get interrogated, even if I was innocent, just that environment stuff is kind of intimidating.
Have you ever seen those videos?
Yeah.
You seen people who admit things they didn't do?
Exactly. You could have
Scary shit.
an innocent person in there, and you're just dogging on them, just tell me the truth, and eventually, they might just comply just because.
Yeah, okay, what else?
You know, I was gonna say, I think they can use it as a scape, to make it easier for the detective. Why am I, this guy, if I can prove or something, he's gonna end up confessing to me anyway. I might still think he's guilty, kind of what Brennan was talking about.
You're saying you're gonna think he's guilty just because of the call?
I think that sometimes that might be the case, that he might be innocent, but,
Guilt by
that's the
association.
only lead they have, it's the guilty,
Yep, okay.
I think there's
Cedric,
a little-
right?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit too much focus on the outcome of when the detective goes after the person versus whether the librarian is actually allowed to or should give out the information. And the problem is, librarian's not legal counsel. Librarian is a public servant.
Correct.
So they're not bound to hide the information, but they're actually bound to serve the public. And I think in the case where it's a detective trying to protect the people, it's almost their civic duty and kind of their job if it's a public library, of course.
It's their civic duty to not release information.
But I would imagine in terms of an investigation, it could almost be seen as it is their duty to actually provide it since they're not legal.
Could they justify giving up that information?
Yeah.
Probably yes, but they don't have to. Yes, sir.
Wouldn't the librarian giving out the information, it's kind of like doctor-patient confidentiality? Like, you're allowed to read what you want to read.
Kind of. It's not as strict. I would
Yeah,
assume.
I know that, but
Yeah.
hypothetically,
Yeah. They can give it up if they choose to, but she doesn't want to. Okay, shifting gears. You're the only two women in here, and you haven't said anything yet. And I have to ask you, what would you do?
I personally, if I were the librarian, I would.
You would. Why?
Well, if I were in the situation of the person calling and I was innocent, then I would want to be able to help out, like cancel people out, confirm people
Okay.
in that situation. Like, if I'm innocent, I shouldn't be afraid of being guilty,
Okay. Okay. Good. What would you do if you were the librarian? Are you giving up the information?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Why?
Well, like I said, if I was in the other person's situation, like
Okay.
me as a librarian thinking about that, then I wouldn't mind getting investigated because I'm innocent.
Okay.
And if they are guilty, then you just hold your risk.
Okay. Kelsey?
I would agree with her, but I'm very much aware of confidentiality.
Okay.
And so it's like, if it were me, I don't know. I literally don't know. I feel like I would lean more yes because I want to help you. But at the end of the day, if I feel like if something's off about the situation or something doesn't seem right, I definitely would just keep confidentiality and then keep it general. But it's not just with a specific situation. It would be with all situations.
Yeah.
Someone calls, I don't tell anybody about it, kind of thing.
Right.
At
Well.
least people who need to know.
Okay.
is that common knowledge? So does this person calling know or expect that to be confidential, or would it be required for him to say hey, this can stay between us for
He expects it to be confidential. If you're calling up and asking about information on rape, do you think you want people to know? Okay, so he expects it to be confidential in this situation. All right. How many of you have sisters? Protective of your sisters? Some of you, no. Horrible people, right? How much of this influences your take on that? It's your, let's say it's your community, right? And how many of you think, well, if there's a rapist on the loose, this is a problem? Does that influence your decision at all? Yes? Okay. Connor?
To me, it doesn't matter. I think it's, I would still say you should tell them.
Okay, so you're telling them no matter what?
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you have moms? I hope so. At least at some point, right? Okay. Think about that. Okay. Does that influence your decision at all? Doesn't change it? Does it change it for anybody? You start thinking about the women in your life? Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Here's the issue. Here's what makes right versus right so hard. You can't do both. If you do one, you cannot do the other. If you tell the detective, the information is out. It's too late and it's gone. If you don't tell them, which you have the right to as the librarian, then you do not give up the information to that person who called. You do not help the detective. You cannot do both. All right? You can't like subtly drop the phone number. You gave it up, right? Okay? You're like, I'm going to go over here and not look at what you're doing. You gave it up. Okay? This is what makes this stuff so hard. You can't do both. They are mutually exclusive. All right? And that's what we're going to get into. All right. You want to read on your own, or you want me to read it? Me read it? I hated when people would say read this and then they would start talking. So I'm asking. Okay? I know it's kind of far and hard to see. Is it right to protect the species inhabiting the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge and right to ease the ever-escalating global energy crisis by drilling for oil in their habitat? What do you got, Keelan? Protect the species? So it can't drill? Okay, Freddie? What is, you don't need oil and gas or nuclear?
We don't know yet.
We're clean energy, right? Who's petroleum engineers? Any? I had one last class. I told him we'd be clean energy in 2 years by the time he graduates. Okay. But we're not building new nuclear plants, so you're screwed. Kellen, what do you got?
Protect wildlife.
Protecting wildlife. Is anybody drilling? Yeah, my man. Okay. You can't do both, though, right? Right? Wildlife. Okay. But can you see if you guys said wildlife? Is it okay for Butters to think it's fine to drill?
Absolutely.
Okay, good, fair enough. Next one. Oh, this is a serious one. Is it right to honor a woman's right to make decisions affecting her own body and right to protect the lives of the unborn? Where's my Catholics? See, I bring that up because no joke had a cadet who was, I mean, this kind of pissed him off, right? And that's not what I'm doing this for, okay? What do you got?
I think it's perfectly fine. I think my only reason for why there's conflict on this issue really is because there's a lot of government subsidies going to abortion companies, so.
And you don't want the funding to go there?
No.
Okay, but is it right to have that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, and if we want to get into Planned Parenthood, a lot of that funding goes towards preventing unwanted births.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, they can raise the price.
Huh?
They can raise the money privately.
It's pretty hard to do. It depends on state laws. What do you got? Let's.
I was gonna say both of these are right. Like obviously the first one is referencing abortion.
Yeah.
But a fetus is not her own body, so
Oh, we're splitting. Is it not? It's inside of her.
it doesn't matter.
What do you mean 50-50?
Except 2 people.
It did take 2 people, right? But who's carrying the child? The mother. Whose body is it? It's the mother's, right? It's impacted, Freddie?
So, I agree with the first one, but I agree with the right.
The right of what?
Both parents, I
Yeah, sure. If there are two parents. What if it's from rape? Her choice. Okay? Okay? Ladies, do you want anybody to tell you what to do with your body? Kelsey?
No, I don't, like I said, right, topic, biblically, I actually just read this not too long ago. And I will be upfront, right, in my family there's been abortions, right, and so it's been something that we've talked about. So being able to distinguish between the two, biblically what I see is more right, right, it's choosing right versus right, which one's more right?
Mhm.
It comes down to what you believe. So someone just put in an article, they said, biblically, right, we're invited to a life to, live, like we're invited to come, versus abortion is, I choose your life for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so it's the difference of like, okay, and then it comes down to you choose which one in comparison. So to answer your first question, no, I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. I think it comes down to the woman at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maddie, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard, like, it's not just black.
No shit. It is. This is hard.
Like, it's really situational, I feel like.
It depends.
There's no, like, complete, like, yes or no.
It depends works, okay, today, right? But you can't do both. There are states, okay, if you get raped and get pregnant where you cannot have an abortion. Right? That's a pretty tough situation to be in, right? Yeah. Yeah, right? This is hard. Okay. Whew. Anyone else want to talk about this some more? Yes, what do you got? Usually you're like, no.
Okay, so whenever people say it should be the right of the woman because it's her body,
Mm-hmm. Careful, there's two of them right by you.
no. But like, the way people phrase it, they're trying to make it sound like we're trying to have absolute control of their body. And what I think is, this isn't like trying to tell a woman to wear a short, to wear a long dress or anything like that. This is, there's a light inside of her,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to extinguish it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my feeling about it. This is way more than like a dress code. We're talking about something.
Yeah, this is serious.
I know.
This is a really serious topic, all right? But you're still telling them what to do if you tell them to wear a long dress or you tell them they can't do what they want with the baby, right? So I understand what you're saying. You're looking at the seriousness of the situation. You're still putting rules on them, what they can and can't do. Yes, sir.
So, by saying the article is right, do you say that it's like they're telling teenagers to get the abortion, or do you say it's the government telling them to get the abortion?
I want you to understand that a woman feels like they should have the right to do whatever they want. Okay? But there's also people who think there's no way she should have an abortion. The baby can be given up for adoption. So you're taking away their right to choose. You understand?
Yeah.
So you can be on either side of the fence, and that's okay. Right? I want you guys to understand that people are not always going to agree with you, and that doesn't mean they're wrong. Okay? You chose wildlife. I drive a diesel, bro. 13 quarts. Changed it myself. Don't do it on a windy day. I made a mess. Okay? So, but do you understand? Okay, cool. All right. Is it right to provide our children with the finest public schools available and right to prevent the constant increasing of state and local taxes? Who does not want their taxes to go up? Who wants good schools? Right? But we can't do both. Yes, sir.
I feel like having good schools is less about just taxes and more about changing generally like how the education system works away from standardized testing towards actual learning.
Okay, fair enough, but you still need resources. You still need resources, and if you're underfunded, you don't have the resources or opportunity. Yes, sir.
I don't know this for sure. I don't have a source on this, but I'm pretty sure that schools in Europe have less money, like per child in the school system
Mhm.
than America does, but they're like generally more educated than like kids who go through the American public school system, like especially like poor school districts. So.
Okay.
So
And
I don't think it really. Obviously, money has something to do with it, but I think it's something more than just like not like more money going towards like military than education.
most of the tax rates in European countries are sky high, like 50%,
I know, but
which is.
the money per child, like.
I'd have to find out. I bet there's more money per child. Depends on the country. Like if you look at a country like Denmark, they spend a ton of money on education. Spain, it wasn't as good. I just know that from having been there a little bit. Yes, sir. Quickly.
You know, I just feel like you get what you put in. I mean, if you're gonna, you can't expect to have great public schools if you're not gonna pay taxes. I mean, because when you look at some really well-funded schools, I mean, the property taxes are, you know, they're higher
Yep.
than other underfunded schools.
Yep.
And to be like, well, you know, I wanna have low taxes, but I still expect the same amount of education. It's not feasible.
Right.
You're
It's
gonna have-
it's exactly right. You can't do both. Yes, sir. Do you have something to add?
I was gonna say it's 50% taxes like in Europe, but everyone has
Universal health care? Yep.
and good pension.
Yeah, but what's their GDP in their countries? Right. But if you like, okay, for example, right, same thing, free health care in Spain, not a highly producing country. Okay, if Spain goes away, do we lose anything? Good wine. Okay, if Denmark goes away, do we lose anything? Probably not. This is gonna be on video, huh? Good fish. Yeah, wonderful people. I'll tell you right now, great place. Okay, if the U.S. goes away, do we lose a lot? Damn right, we're awesome, right? Okay. All right, let's keep going because these are good. I like what you guys are saying. Is it right to extend social services to everyone regardless of race or ethnicity, and right to pay special attention to those whose cultural backgrounds may have deprived them of past opportunities? Yes. So, should we have things that help people that are state and federal funded? Okay? Should we have things that help people regardless of race or ethnicity? So, we're going to help you no matter what. But, should we also help those people who have been less privileged?
Yeah.
So what?
I just feel personally, I don't think anybody should get anything extra because it has as personal income.
Say it again louder.
I think everybody should eat. So the first one should, I don't think anybody should be, you know, coddled for something that happened like 3 generations down.
Okay. Interesting. Yes, sir.
I
Connor?
agree with Freddie, like, you know, whatever is in the past shouldn't affect what we do now, but of course, it probably does affect how they currently are treated, you know, so if things aren't the same now, that should, like the first sentence, that should be changed, you know, everything should be equal. But if things weren't equal in the past, you know, then we shouldn't try to shift the balance now, to make up for the past.
Okay. Did you have something?
Wait,
Yeah. Did you have your hand up?
oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you got?
I didn't used to believe in systemic racism
Uh-huh.
until I started working like in a warehouse with a bunch of different ethnically. It was an ethnically diverse place to work.
Uh-huh.
And having worked there for an extended period of time, I realized after speaking with them and talking with everybody, getting to know everybody there, that it's a very big problem that not everybody recognizes. So, like for example, like everybody always brings up how like there are more African American crimes, things like that, but nobody brings up how the police patrol African American neighborhoods more than they do white neighborhoods, and how there are just as much drugs going around the white neighborhoods as there are in the African American neighborhoods.
Sometimes more so.
Only the African American people getting picked up because culturally it's normal for them. Sorry, using the word them sounds bad. It's normal for African American people culturally to congregate outside in large groups, and a lot of white people don't understand that. So when white cops drive through an African American, predominantly African American neighborhood, and they see that, it's not something they understand. It's not something they're used to, and so they go and search people. And what are they going to find? Drugs. The drugs are everywhere. It's just a matter of selectively looking for it in certain places, and that's not fair.
Okay. Good. Well said. What do you got?
it's the difference between equality versus equity. If we give like the first one's like everyone gets the exact same amount of thing, but I say we should focus more on equity where everyone gets what they need to get to the same point.
Okay, so what do you want to do?
I personally agree that yeah, we should help people who have lost opportunities like that due to the past. And to say that that the past doesn't affect it like 2 or 3 generations back, ultimately that's not a whole long time in the grand scheme of things. And like just think of how many ripples COVID will have in the future, even though it's like only been a little bit.
Yeah.
Imagine bigger events that have happened for hundreds of years.
Okay, yeah, ready?
So kind of a background in why my 3 generations don't call them. My mother is a single mother of 4 kids. Used to be really fortunate with my dad and I came along. That went through 30 years of real estate in the Corpus Christi area where she was spit on by people because she was Mexican. But she still dragged her way through poverty up to high middle class without my father's help, by herself with her kids. So people can get out of that situation.
Yeah, people can. Should we still help them a little bit more, maybe?
Well, I don't see her being helped, so why should other people get that help?
Fair enough. So you don't think they should, but can you understand why some people think we could?
I'm sure some people might, but me personally.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I agree with Freddie or not. But you got to be able to understand that not everybody feels the same way as you, and they think because of the fact that your mom got spit on, they want to help her more. So, I love what you said, man. I love it. Okay. But could you see why someone would have more compassion for her? Okay. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I personally disagree with the, some people make it, so why should they get any help? Because, one person making it, they might have won the lottery, they might have got really lucky, but the average
Sure.
person, the community as a whole, you need to think about that. So, that's my opinion. Because, one person making it doesn't mean racism is over,
Fair enough. Okay. But that's the example that he's got, right? Now, one is never a sample size, but that's a personal one. Yes, sir. Quickly.
One person making it can be based off of work ethic, and the huge problem that I have at the welfare state and programs like food stamps is that people just depend on that and they live off of that instead of actually using the benefits that they get
Sure.
to try to work harder.
Sure. Yes. Look, you can you're not wrong.
Things like
But there's some people that fell on bad luck. There's people that got laid off by COVID and lost their home and need it.
Yeah, no, people should get that, but things like welfare and food stamps, that needs to become embarrassing again, if that makes sense. Because it needs to make people get up and work.
Do you want to shame somebody who got laid off for COVID and lost their house?
No, I'm not saying you
Kind of what it sounded like.
Swear, but you should be able to. You should be grateful that you get these stimulants, like the stimulus checks that we got.
Yeah,
You should be grateful
sure.
for it,
Right.
but it shouldn't demean your desire to work, if that makes sense.
Fair enough.
This story encapsulated that really well. She did work hard. She changed. There was class movement and everything.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
examples of people with this.
We were not, look, the core was 100% white not very long ago. It was a big deal when they changed that here. There were people that left, retired, were pissed. Okay, Stanford, the University of Stanford, they used to be the Cardinal. They used to be the Indians. And they changed it to the Cardinal 60 years ago. Super progressive, right? I met this old Stanford alum. He was still mad. It's been 60 years, bro. He was 90. He was still pissed at Stanford. Okay? We're going to keep going. Not that I don't want to hear you guys' thoughts. We're going to keep going. Huh?
Something my mom told me that I thought you shouldn't shame you for doing food stamps and welfare, you should shame yourself.
Sure, maybe. Okay? But how are you going to pick yourself up from the bootstraps if you feel like shit all the time?
That's why you do it.
I hope so. I hope so. But look, we just had a freaking suicide. We just had a freshman here made it into A&M. Shit was so bad, I don't even know if it's a he or she. They were so bad they decided to take their own life. Now, there's a million reasons why I think that shouldn't have happened. But it happened. I can't change it. All right? And you think, for goodness sakes, you were here. You had bros. You had people that would help you. And they didn't do anything about it. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, I really don't like, I used to think the same way about the bootstrap concept, and I think it's a bit of an echo chamber because typically people that think that are in a community where everyone is capable and has the mindset of doing things. And quite frankly, when you look at these communities, you need to see it, might be a bit of a offensive analogy, but you need to see it as essentially a community that's handicapped. You need to treat it like someone who has a disability. Someone who has a disability is going to be stuck in a blue-collar job, and there's no picking up of their bootstraps. You need to be able to decide as a government, should they be getting paid a livable wage because they're not going to access the higher level of society. In certain communities,
Especially if they have an empty stomach.
they're not going to access it. It's a plain fact. It's been that way for decades. They're not going to access a higher level of society by average. There's obviously exceptions. And so you need to just address the idea of what do you need to do in order to make it where it's actually, I don't agree with the concept of like equity per se, but there needs to be some attention given to making livable lifestyles for those people within their own economic class.
Right. And it's really hard to put yourself through school if you don't have any food. If you don't know where your next meal is coming from. Okay? And it happens in every community. Quickly.
I would say, kind of going off of what he said, like, to extend it, not all people really, they might work their asses off, but, working hard doesn't always mean, I'm going to make it, If I ask you to imagine somebody working 3 jobs, do you imagine a rich person or a poor person?
Well, I have 3 jobs and I'm not rich.
Well, I'm just saying, like, the first thing that pops up to mind, it's probably someone who really
Probably doesn't have a lot of money. Yeah.
And additionally, starting off with not very much money means you have limited access to education, kind of what that's referencing.
Sure.
And limited access to, food, everything else. If you got kids, you're worrying about paying for them.
Yep. But listen, you guys I don't care if you agree or not, but I need you to understand why you guys feel differently. Okay? All right, more fun. Is it right to bench Kellen Mond, who is 21, who's caught drinking the night before the SEC championship game, and right to field the best team possible? What do you got?
Is there really a rule about drinking the night before a game?
There is, typically.
I mean, if it's a rule, then I would probably.
This is a team rule.
Have a team rule?
Yeah, we call it a team rule.
I would say it really comes down to the coach having their morals. If they're really going to enforce their own rules, even though if you're star player, are you really going to risk your team? I think to end up playing your own morals.
Yeah, okay, quickly, Michael, you haven't said anything today.
How much did he drink?
Not enough. What else? What do you got?
If you're going to field the best team possible for the game, does that mean you're going to tell a model field?
I was worried about that. Okay, this is no joke. True story. Okay, true story. I worked at University of Florida for a couple years when Urban Meyer was there, and they were rolling, right? Tebow, Heisman, championships. Defensive lineman, first-round draft pick, passed out at a stoplight like 3 in the morning with his foot on the brake on a car because he was wasted. It was not the night before, but it was the week of the SEC championship game. Okay, future first-round draft pick, SEC championship game, everything's on the line. If they win, the Gators are going to national championship. Did Urban Meyer play him or not? Sure as hell did. He sure did. Would you have played him? The cops had to bang on the light to get him to wake up. They actually never got him to wake up. The passenger side door was unlocked. Could have killed somebody. Was he drafted in the NFL? Has he made more money than I will ever make in my life? Yep. What do you got?
I think you should bench him for at least the first half to teach him a lesson.
I think he set out the opening series or something like that. It was maybe a quarter, but it wasn't much. He played.
Yeah, like when it comes to team rules, especially for football, like for us in high school, like if you were taught we were going on the bus, like you're sitting out for at least the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And some people would still take like their extra cell phone just because it's like you have a team rule, you should abide by it.
Right.
And especially when it comes to safety.
Yeah. What did you got? What do we got?
Yeah, I think that there really is a lesson to learn from that example, and it's that sports, or in general, that is such a big part of our culture that's supposed to teach us the values of sportsmanship.
Right.
And,
We talked about it last week, right?
and how it doesn't teach that at all because a case like this is so egregious.
Yes.
And nothing's done about it. It's really
If that player had been someone who didn't play at all, what do you think he would have done? make an example out of them, right? That's exactly what happens. There's too much money in it. There's too much to risk. Got to win that game. Got to get my next contract. Yes, sir.
Yeah, to just elaborate on that a little bit, like I think just because the personal decision making is there for, you know, it was ultimately my decision or whatever to play him or not. Of course he was gonna play him because you know it's gonna benefit in the long run, even at the expense of any, you know, moral compass or whatever.
100%.
I think it's more of like an institutional failure that they weren't heavily fined for something egregious like that happening.
Well, they
And
kept it
there's no
all under wraps.
accountability for him making that decision and then
Yep.
benefiting from it.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Happens all the time. Okay. No, this one's too good. We're gonna continue this next week because we're actually not done. There's more, so we're gonna work through it, and there's more scenarios. And I don't want to rush it because I love what you guys are saying. I respect what you guys are saying. I like that you guys have your own thoughts. I like that you have learned different things through your time on this planet. Okay. And these are serious subjects, and we've got a few more to go, and some different scenarios. But the point is, with right versus right, is you can't do both. You have to pick one. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to solve that next week. Okay, so I'm not just leaving you hanging. But I want to wrap up because this week's discussion post is up. We're starting in on the book. Okay, so you got to read chapter 1 of Good Business. It's due Monday. All right. So make sure we're good on that. If you've missed any classes or anything, most of you are caught up. I post the videos. You got to write a recap, all that good stuff. Don't forget to reply to 2 other discussion posts. Okay, just don't forget to go back and do that. I think I only had 1 person forget to do that. Any questions? I appreciate you guys handling this well. Again, I like to have a good time in here and stuff. Try to teach you some things. But this stuff's pretty serious, so I appreciate you guys being willing to share in person. Thanks for letting me put the only 2 ladies in the class on the spot a couple times. We will continue next week, so be here, okay? Have an awesome week.